Okay, so it's your name,
Zach.
and you run towing service here in Springfield?
Correct.
Okay, so one of the things that we've heard going on is there's a lot of bad drivers, and if anybody knows it about bad drivers, it's a tow truck guy. So, there's a lot full of messed up vehicles. So, what's what was normal before all of this that you're for your business?
I'd say normal before all this would be 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 cars come in, no insurance. So we're working for free.
Okay.
You know, the cars come in, insurance comes, they pick up the car, they do their thing. We get a check.
Mm-hmm.
We work, we get paid. Now, our population's increased by 33%. The accidents have increased by 60%. And now we're getting paid for less because the people that have shown up that made the population go up are driving around with no license, no insurance. So you get one of two things. You get a licensed driver with no insurance, or you get an insured driver with no license that cancels out the insurance, so the insurance companies aren't paying.
Right.
So now we're out here busting our ass. This is our livelihood.
So where are the cars coming from? If they're not licensed and insured, usually you have to have something, you know.
Something, yeah, but they're out there wrecking, and we go out and we pick the cars up, we do our job.
Do the cars seem to belong to the people that wreck them, or?
Oh, yeah, they belong to the people that wreck them.
Okay.
You know, they're going to the bank, they're getting a loan, they're buying the car. Where that's coming from, your guess is as good as mine.
Wow.
Because, you know, it's hard for me to go to the lot and buy a shiny new SUV or something, you know.
Right, so there's not really much, I mean, you're getting the extra business, but not like you want it.
Right, yeah, we're getting the extra business, but we're not getting paid for any of that extra business.
Is it like, do you have any of the contract with the local PDs or anything? They call you, hey, come get this off a lot, and you get a little something from them?
No, we don't get anything.
You have to come get them?
Yeah, we have to show up, and then it's up to us to do the billing and stuff. You know, they're not. That was a little rumor going around for a while that the tow companies around here are getting paid by the city to go pick these crashes up for the migrants that are here.
Wow.
Not the case at all. We are not getting paid by the city. We're not getting paid at all. I mean, as you can see, this is one of 2 locations we've got. We've got nowhere to even park our own vehicles. We've got employees.
So what do you think would be a good solution or a starting solution for what's going on here? Do you have any other, you're a business guy, you know other business people in town. What's the common sentiment around the other people that run businesses that are local that, you know, you're just trying to make a living. You got a small business here, and what's the other small business owners like? What's that?
I think we've all just thrown our hands up. I don't think there is any consensus. I mean, people are with what means they can to try to make money, you know, but you gotta, some of the people in town are canceling the businesses that cater to the people that have come here.
Okay.
And other businesses have refused to cater to them. Where do you go? Do you refuse to cater to them and get no work, or do you cater to them and get canceled?
Catch-22. You're stuck in.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck. What can you do? You know, we got families to feed. You know, I'm out here. I'm never going to get rich doing this, ever. No one.
It's kind of a crazy story to listen to a guy who makes his living off of junking cars off the street and recovery. It's also a recovery service. If you get in a bad accident, you know, you call them up, they come get you. But there's a whole lot. He goes into more detail about what's going to be just, you know, what's the problems financially that this creates when, and I ask him more questions about, you know, the cars and the money and how it works actually obtaining rightful possession of them and them sitting on the lot for too long. Those questions come up later after this. But this right here, this first half, that pretty much sums most of it up. But if you want the rest of the details, go to our YouTube channel. Also, go to our brand new website, which we have now. You know, there'll be a link in description. We just launched that. But go listen to Zach. He was a really nice guy. He's just an average dude. He didn't say anything nasty about the Haitians or anything. He just, this is my business. This is how it's affecting me. And the sentiment of the rest of the business owners in town are, who do I get canceled by first? Like, if I decide to go one way and cater to the new norm, basically, I get canceled by people who don't like what's happening here. But if I decide to go against the new norm, I get canceled by whatever those people, whoever those people are. And from what I found out is the people that are for this are the people with all the power in town, whether it's financial power, economic power, or government power. But you'll have
religious power.
Religious power.
Mhm.
That's all connected, and we'll get into to more of those things as we go on through this. But yeah, I went to Springfield, Ohio this last week. I'm an Ohio guy. I've got another Ohio business shirt and with his hat on. I represent. This is my this is my state. I love it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm trapped in Ohio. I can't get out. Oh no, it's such a dude." Just if you change your mindset about where you live, you can actually make where you live better. You know, it might be harder in places like California unless you like that. You know, but here I am and trying to reach out to people, and they were there. Everybody I met was super cool. I didn't meet one person that was awful to me or anything while I was down there. But then again, I also probably could have kept digging a little bit more and got some guff if I tried. So
Right.
But we'll hit some more of that on the back end of things, but we want to just wet your palate a little bit.
Exactly. And on top of that, we're going to talk a lot more about Scrap's visit to Springfield. And also, we got some January 6th information that just popped off.
Before we get too heavy into this immigration, we're going to talk about, some things that are really pertinent. The J6, the specter of J6 just won't die.
It would never will. It never will. Well, thank you guys very much for visiting us. Rise of Middle America podcast. I'm AK, your favorite guy. We start now. All right. Well, we got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. Just like Scrap said, we now have our own website. That's right. riseofmiddleamerica.com. This is a place where you can browse the latest news, rants, deep dives from your hosts of Roma Nation and Sunset Rants and the newer content that'll be coming out in the upcoming months. And if you'd like to help us accelerate that process, you can now donate to the cause with our donation link down at the bottom of the webpage. There's your hosts here. You got myself, Scrap. We got the crazy Major Brian. He's there. That's right. You guys know the new member of the team, Fluffy Hobo. You guys have seen Elizabeth on Sunset Rants on Mondays. And look at this guy. He's our
Tolkien European.
Love this guy.
Oh, by the way, if you're wondering where the nice lava lamp is, yeah, that's my tagline there. Right? Nice lava lamp. There's some holes. There's some plot holes. Nice lava lamp.
Exactly.
That's the afterglow.
Yeah, but once again, guys, right here at the bottom, this is where you can donate to the cause and help. Scrap and I be able to do more trips. Do more visits to different areas in which we can relay this information back to you guys for Middle America. So
it also fuels my newfound chicharrones addiction because I'm on a carnivore diet and the only chips I can eat are deep fried pig skins.
Oh God, I'm gonna hear this the entire night. But anyway,
it also fuels my ability to edit videos. Cheers, lots of ladies.
There he is. All right.
Alcohol burning fuel.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, but like I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and join our Discord with new faces joining every single day. And you can hang out with your hosts. You can help create the very content that you see here today, or you can visit our website. Let's do it. Things are moving on the up and up.
Get
right
them started. I'm gonna grab a water, and I will be right back.
Beautiful. All right. So we're going to start off with segment 1. So I'm sure you guys have heard of an event called January 6th. I had a 3-part series with a bunch of long lost videos you probably haven't seen before. But if you go to my Rumble page, you can check it out there. Well, there were articles about how Donald Trump incited the January 6th riots and countless calls for the National Guard and things like that. But we got some new information that just came out, and I want to make sure that I get you guys on the up and up. So let's rant. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with this X post from Kylie Jane Kremer. Breaking news: transcripts hidden by the Biden-Harris administration reveal Donald Trump did, in fact, notify the top Pentagon officials on the desire for the National Guard to be deployed on January 6, 2021. General Mark Milley, chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the president just says, quote, "Hey, look at this. This is going to be a large amount of protests here on January 6th. Make sure that you have sufficient National Guard or soldiers to make sure it is a safe event. Hey, I don't care if you use the Guard soldiers, active duty soldiers, whatever you have to do. Just make sure it's safe. President Trump did nothing wrong on January 6th, she says, as I've been saying the whole time. I did nothing wrong on January 6th as executive director of Women of America First and as the permit holder of Save America rally at the Ellipse at the White House." Yeah, so is there a reason why the J6 committee hid this information from the American people?
It couldn't possibly have anything to do with the fact that they stacked the committee with either Democrats and rhinos.
You think?
Couldn't have anything to do with that at all. Just saying, like.
Well, if you look at it, like if you go back to my January 6th videos, remember when they were talking about this, when Donald Trump was talking about this, Kash Patel was actually in the room. And he stated that he has the transcripts of this. I don't know. They don't know why that wasn't released. I don't know why he didn't have access to those transcripts. But
well, he's no longer a part of the administration. He won't have them.
Right.
Like see, in the moment, you don't think to grab your phone or make the requests or do all the things and keep records of your own copies. In the moment, you're like, I'm the guy. I'm here and I'm doing this. And there's a certain level of normalcy bias. Even that was one of the things that plagued Trump's administration was normalcy bias.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know who the scum were. He didn't know who the swamp monsters were until he had to trip over them or they bit him on the ankle or stabbed him in the back. And the same thing with Kash. Like he had to. He's like, it exists. The stuff exists, but. And the commission could get it, but they won't. And so they've stonewalled and stalled and everything, and then we finally get some stuff out. But it's always late. It's always as far down the road as they can possibly kick that can until finally the FOIA requests get answered because someone beat down the door long enough for them to actually give a crap and say, well, fine, we're going to get because there are timelines. And there are certain keywords that you have to put into your FOIA request, or you don't get the information. They just go, sorry, you might have asked for it, but you didn't use the right terms. You didn't use the right search terms. That's like UFOs are now UAPs.
Yeah, right. Of all things.
Yeah. Or something like that. They just changed the alphabet soup on you.
Yeah, so what else did she put here? January Sixers and many others involved have been victims of weaponization of the federal government, and all the alphabet agencies needed to completely root it out, start it over, and dissolved entirely. Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan died on January 6th because of negligence of Nancy Pelosi and others. If you don't believe it's negligence of Nancy Pelosi, I got a video to share with you.
Oh, your audio. It might be on my end.
Oh, are you sure? Everybody else here? Here, hold up. Let me.
I don't hear audio. All mine's connected.
Okay, give me a second.
Gotta be on your end. For once, it's not me with the audio issue.
Yeah, I know, right? Here, let me pull this back up again.
We're
You guys
professionals. Fluffy says no audio.
Okay, he said no audio. All right, so let me get this in. Boom, there we go. What? All right, let's start this over and play it again.
We have responsibility,
There
Terry.
it is.
We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not a question of how they have been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
So just in case anybody decides to have any funny ideas and say, oh, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you know. All right, moving on. The last 4 years have been nothing but legal abuse, lies, manipulation, gaslighting, and torture by the left and the MSM against constitutional supporting freedom-loving Americans who use our First Amendment rights to attend legally permitted rally in D.C. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden should be immediately impeached and removed. Kamala Harris is not qualified to be president and is a danger to all Americans. So let's see what we got from the oversight. This is the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight. So we've got General Mark Milley says on January 3rd, President says, hey, look, there's going to be a large amount of protesters there on January 6th. Make sure you have sufficient National Guard soldiers to make sure it's a safe event. He said, hey, I don't care if you use Guard soldiers, active duty soldiers, whatever you have to do to make it safe. This is from Christopher Miller, Acting Secretary of Defense. The president commented that they were going to need 10,000 troops the following day. I interpret it as a bit of presidential banter or President Trump banter that you are familiar with in no way, shape, or form. I interpret that as an order of direction.
Really? Really?
I cannot believe.
Oh, that's just Trump. That's just Trump. No, it's fine. We don't worry about it. It's just Trump. Come on, really? We're going to buy that?
Oh, you've got
Stop.
to be kidding me. Like, they knew about this. The FBI knew about this. The CIA knew about this. Everybody knew there was going to be a lot of people there. And you're just going to leave your congressional members just with a couple of police officers and whatever you call this. Like, really? Our American government. Anyways, I'm going to move on. So what do we got here? We got Chief Stephen Sund, U.S. Capitol Police. I'm making urgent requests to National Guard to overrun and take a quick rundown of what we got going on. The officers out there are fighting for their lives. We're about to be taken over. Let's see. I explained to them and the building was being breached. I need their assistance immediately. It looks like General Pyatt. My recommendation to Secretary of Army is to not support the request. So why not support?
And they even says in there he wants to move. He was like, "We'll just move the National Guard away." It's like not even just not send it. We'll just take it somewhere else.
Just like that. I
kind of like in 9/11, where conveniently all of the fighter squadron that was able to respond to such a thing was conveniently offshore on a training exercise.
Exactly. No.
I'm just. If they want to compare this to 9/11, let's go there. Just say it. I got that one. We got the receipts.
Exactly. All right. So what else we got here? So we've got Commanding Sergeant Major Michael Brooks said they were ready to go and just couldn't understand why they were still sitting there, literally sitting on a bus, just waiting to drive to the Capitol to do the best they could to support Capitol Police. People were like, "Why aren't you there?" We were waiting. Look, this tells me two things. All right. One, this completely exonerates President Trump.
Mhm.
It completely exonerates him. What are they going to do during the January 6th case that they have waiting trial for him? There's nothing. There's nothing they can do now.
Oh, no. There's absolutely nothing. They want to put that on blast? They want to put that on a record?
No, of course they won't. You know, because if you take that and also the video that he sent, it all matches now. You see that?
Plus, Trump, I keep going back to this. Trump stood on a stage for 20 minutes unaware of what was happening at the Capitol because he was finishing his speech. 20 minutes. That's the length of time it takes to walk from where he was standing to the Capitol. It's a 20-minute walk, and people want to say, "Oh, he riled a bunch of people up, and then they went." That's what most people think. Most people on the street that hate Trump and want to talk trash about January 6th, they think he showed up and rallied an entire group of people, and then they walked. No, there were massive amounts of people at the Capitol already for other things on both sides. In 20 minutes before he was done, that's when Ray Epps and all of his buddies got into it a little bit with whoever the security was. They tore down the barriers and then they walked. And then you go look up Revolver, and our earlier episodes is, we covered this. Trump stood for 20 minutes, and for those 20 minutes, things already were going on. There was nothing he could have done. He had already sent all the paperwork and all the requests to the mayor, to Nancy Pelosi, and said, "I have pre-authorized the National Guard at your disposal." And then you have that clip we showed a minute ago, Pelosi saying, "Oh my God, it's all on me." In some duh. That's the thing, is she thinks it's an own, and it's really a self-own, if you know what I'm saying. She's not really owning her responsibility. She's owning herself by exposing herself and her fakeness. The whole thing. There's multiple clips of her and other people where you can tell it's staged, and she's all dramatic about the whole thing.
Exactly. Well, if you don't believe us, let's look at the National Guard.
Oh, they have a website?
Yes, they do.
What? It's on the internet.
And they have news articles. DOD details. This is January 8th, 2021. DOD details National Guard response to Capitol attack. Once the reality of the assault on the U.S. Capitol became apparent, National Guard troops responded approximately with what's that? Alacrity? What does that mean? Am I that dumb? Anyways, Department of Defense officials said with phone briefing on January 7th, quote, yesterday was a horrible and shameful day here at the Capitol, in the nation at large. This is Ryan McCarthy, Army Secretary. The District of Columbia asked Army for help, and the National Guard responded. McCarthy Pentagon spokesperson Jonathan Reth Hoffman and Kenneth P. Rapono, the Assistant Secretary of Defense of Homeland Defense, and put up a timeline of the National Guard response's perspective during the call. District of Columbia officials knew of the planned protests and had requested some assistance with the First Amendment demonstrators. Why is that in quotes? First Amendment demonstrators were planned for January 5th and 6th.
Scare quotes.
Yeah, right. McCarthy said, based on this request, officials called upon 340 National Guardsmen to help. The Guardsmen were assigned mainly to traffic control, metro crowd control, some logistics support, and a 40-member quick reaction force to be based at Joint Andrews on Maryland.
Okay, so how 40 people at Andrews? You're familiar with the area.
Mm-hmm.
How far is that from actually being able to? What do they have to go through?
So here's
granted,
DC, all right?
So granted, that bridge is still there. That the Bay Bridge.
Yes.
Would they have to use that, or
No,
is it? Or,
they do
or
not have to
they're
use the Bay
closer.
Bridge. So Andrews Air Force Base is just outside of DC on the eastern end. So that corner of DC over here, Andrews is like right there. All right. So Pennsylvania Avenue travels. Whoop, it goes kind of like this. Dun, dun, boom, and that's where it is.
Okay.
If you're traveling by vehicle, and you have a motorcade with you, and they block off all the roads, it's about a 12-minute drive from the White House if
What's
they block all the roads.
What's 40 National Guardsmen gonna do as a quick response team? Where are they gonna? How are they gonna respond? Are they gonna chopper in, or what?
Come down
Like,
off of ropes.
Ropes, like are you gonna put 40 National Guard guys with ropes down on the lawn in front of the Capitol or on the Capitol?
That was already
like,
breached, by the way.
That was already breached, and there was already people everywhere, people walking like tourists through the middle, literally like tourists, like minding the ropes, other than the lectern guy. That's kind of funny. He did return that. He actually didn't steal that, but he still did time for it because he touched it. Because it's sacred.
He went like this. That's it. Right? But that's what I'm saying. So there's DC, all right, it's like a diamond, kind of like this, all right? So then you've got Andrews Air Force Base over here. So that drive is 12 minutes if you have a motorcade. If you don't have a motorcade, and this was at what? This was was it Tuesday or a Wednesday?
I don't remember. I was working that day.
Yeah, I think it was a Wednesday. I drive that area all the time. And usually to get from there into DC itself, just to get to the DC line, it takes about 20 minutes. Yes, this diamond right there from here to there, 20 minutes.
So basically, they used the most minimal amount of National Guard to say that they had something at some point.
Exactly. So at what point do the facts start piling up on top of each other to where, like, what is it that people need to understand that this was all premeditated and set up? Like, what else do you need? Like, what words need to come out of my mouth for you to understand it? Because if it's nothing, then clear. I mean, it can't just be nothing. Nothing is relative, to the conversation because something actually happened. But what words do people need to come out of our mouths, or what information do you need to actually finally say, okay, you know what? Something did happen, and it's possibly not Trump's fault. What is it? Anybody? Let's look in the chat here. Anybody in the chat? Who do we got?
I got a bunch of stuff starred if you just hit the star thing, but that's like I'm collecting these for a point here. We're gonna catch up on some of these as they come in.
Danielle says red tape. Exactly. Who do we got here? It's our boy Fluffy. He said, they only tell the truth when they think they're not being recorded. Touche. All right, what else we got? Oh, yeah. I love you, Fluffy.
Look, Mom, I'm on TV.
A little bit. Remember the video of the security saying they were set up? Yes, that's also...
That's on our previous episode of it. Those guys were not happy. They said, man, this is BS. We were set up. F this. And that's when they backed out.
Yeah, I know, because
They're talking about you. Fluffy's talking about you.
Am I that dumb? There's a clip.
There's a clip.
I love this guy. But yeah, like, we literally had to do a three episode series on this because there was so much information that had been released over the last couple of years that we had to piece together. This was no easy feat at all. I mean, I had some information from previous dark shows that I had done before I actually went live, but it was nowhere near the amount of information that I got after the fact. And there was a lot of things that I didn't even know transpired. You know, like no cops were killed. None of them were killed on the property. Not one.
No, the guy that
Not a single one.
Not to continue going on about this because we could, but the only cop that passed away that was involved, that they said was beat to death with a fire extinguisher. Guess what? He died of an aneurysm later. That was his cause of death. As an aneurysm or a stroke or something later. Now, the stress of the event could have contributed because, you know, things and stuff, but he wasn't even assaulted. No. So
Not at all.
anyway.
Yeah, when you talk about like the fire extinguisher to the head, and like, where did this come from? Like, who was the one that brought that to light? Was it just the media as a whole? They all got one big white paper that came in and said, "Hey, go ahead and say this." Like, now you're seeing how the media operates. You know, it's part of the reason why I do a show like this, because people need to understand that now that all this stuff is coming out, we now know that at minimum, not just the media apparatus told a tall tale, but how many people in Congress hid this information and knew about it?
People in the know, on the commission, people that are on committees. A lot of this stuff, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but there are maybe less than the fingers that I can hold up, Congress and senators that are even worth a dang, and probably even less than that can access that information that is pertinent, which is really, it really sucks. I'm just gonna put it out there. It sucks. Like, these guys, we have some good Congress people and a couple of good senators out there, but there's 400 other representatives and senators combined. That, how do you fight that? It's just, you know.
Well, it's the good old boys club. Like, you have to earn your way in if you're there, and if you're not in there, then you're left out. What did George Carlin say?
It's a big old club, and you're
not invited, or you ain't in it. Yep, just like that. But anyways,
and that has been
you gotta warn me of that stuff, bro.
I've been waiting the whole episode to use that toy. We got new toys.
We do.
Thanks to Turtle. Uncapped Turtle on X, formerly Shadow Banned, now reinstated to full glory. Go check him out.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
If you want all of your black pill needs, this guy has got it for you. So, absolutely.
Oh,
jeez.
So,
but anyways, how about our second segment? Because I think this week it's all you, brother. I mean, I've got some stuff here for you, but you've got a lot of information coming in, and if you guys wanted to know why we had to start a little bit late, is because we realized that if we were going to sit here and go through all the information, we'd be here for hours. So we decided that we made an executive decision and to make this a 2-part series of the middle ground, because we got some pretty good information and possibly some special guests.
And I made a lot of contacts in Springfield along the way, and I made a couple extra ones here tonight. And that contact I made before the show was just, I was hoping to get somebody that would just be like somebody out of that local Facebook group that could just, sit and kind of give a little bit of extra little context, somebody that's not me. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of local, but not in the middle of those things. But that person turned out to be somebody that's going to be more valuable down the road, knows way more than. It was like talking to Alex Jones on the other end of the line, just like, oh, yeah, dump, 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 name. But I think what we've decided to do with this segment coming up, yeah, I think you're all going to enjoy it. So roll the bump.
You did it again, bro.
The middle ground. It's in the notes.
I was like, my finger was right there.
We're having too much fun.
Oh man,
Hey, it worked.
No, it did. Everything works.
Everything is working.
So
we have new website. We got new bumps. We got new content. We're doing real stuff. Got journalism on the ground. What is this? What happened?
We're probably on a couple of lists now. Like,
bro, if I tried to take a flight, I'd have so many letters at the bottom of my ticket. I might as well not even try.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly. But so you might as well take the next flight. But yeah, so obviously, this is about Springfield, Ohio, and there's a group of refugees in that city. Who are they? Why did they arrive? Why are they there? What is their purpose? Who's paying for all of this? And let's find out on today's main segment of The Middle Ground. So let's get into it. All right. So I think we've got News Nation here that's going to explain.
Oh, we have another issue with audio. Is it just muted on the thing?
No, I think I know what it is. Give me a second. Let me get out of there, back that, get out of there. How about now?
Have been busting asylum seekers to cities like New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and your taxpayer dollars have been helping to pay for some of it. In fact, this is not a new phenomenon. Non-governmental agencies have been busing immigrants from the southern border to across the nation for years. Jorge Ventura has details.
The majority of migrants arriving in cities like New York or smaller towns across America do so by the help of non-governmental organizations, also known as NGOs, organizations like charities or religiously affiliated nonprofits. In the past 2 years, Border Patrol holding stations have constantly been at overcapacity in dealing with the massive influx of migrants crossing illegally into the United States. When this happens, Border Patrol releases processed migrants to NGOs to shelter and feed migrants and coordinate their travel to their final destination. John Martin, Deputy Director for the Opportunity Center for the Homeless, explains.
Once received, whether it be the adult population or the families, the sites will then work with them, and the general term that we use is we go through a processing. That processing is to facilitate travel to the destination of their choice.
NGOs receive billions of taxpayer funds through several federal departments like the Homeland Security and the Health and Human Services. According to Forbes, the NGO Catholic Charities USA received $1.4 billion from government support, compared with $1 billion in private donations. Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service reported more than $93.1 million in U.S. government grants in their 2021 financial statement, making taxpayer-funded grants more than 80% of its total support. And that number would only climb, as the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service would receive $182.6 million in grants in the fiscal year 2022.
Wow.
And this year, NGOs did face.
I mean, this is so. It's basically like Ukraine, but on a smaller scale.
They're just pumping money down a big old pipe.
Right.
And somebody's drinking from the fire hose of all that cash somewhere along the line.
No, exactly. And when you look at Springfield, Springfield's a very small town. All right.
Yes.
So it has very limited resources. It doesn't have that many people there. So therefore, there's not a lot of tax revenue that's going in. So in order to support something like this, you're going to have an NGO or the federal government put their ties in, or both, right? They have to come in and they have to give money to special groups in order to make these things happen, because they don't just sprout up out of nowhere. Like, things have to be in place already. You have to have housing, you have to have food, you have to have the ability to move them around. Like, all of this costs money. So our question is, where is this money coming from? And then once it gets to the destination, how is it dispersed?
Right. And even before all that, like, how did these, like, some people are wondering about the migrants or the people from, I don't even call them migrants, because they haven't chosen to do this. Like, usually you think of migration, like, people want to go somewhere. Like, yeah, I get some of these people want to come here, but I don't think they wanted to get here the way they did. Because if you go back and you look at the history of Haiti, it has been torn up from the get-go. If you even go back to the early 1900s, they were paying reparations to France up to like 46 or 47. Right. Yes. Black people were paying reparations to white people. Say it again. Black people were paying reparations to white people, and not for the reason you want it to be. It's
Where's
because
the outrage?
They were paying reparations, and this is bad. This is awful, because it was because of their independence. They got their independence, and France said, "You hurt our economy by not being slaves anymore. You owe us money."
Mm-hmm.
And they actually were able to do that. That makes no sense to me. It's horrifying, but it's real history. So that's the first start of it. And then over the course of years, they've just been continuously messed with outside forces. And Haiti and the Dominican Republic are one island that's separated, if I do believe correctly.
It's like 1/3 and 2/3.
And I've met guys from the Dominican Republic. They don't like the Haitians. They don't like the Hondurans. They don't like, because the Dominican Republic is more like people like us. They've actually had opportunities to become a U.S. state. The Dominican Republic has, but they choose not to. There's reasons for it, but it'd be like, come on, be 52. It's fine. And then let's just annex Haiti and like make it actually legit, because we could fix that. If it was actually U.S. soil, we could just fix it, but it would be rough, because then all the people in Haiti could just go everywhere in the States, because we have reciprocity of travel. So there's other things like that. So instead of them doing those things, which I get, there's a lot of more to it, and there's a lot of people pulling their hair out and screaming at the camera, going at the thing, going, no, it doesn't work that way. Just let me cook. So Haiti, these guys have been granted temporary protected status because of a convergence of these catastrophic events, like the big earthquake that happened and the political instability, right? After the devastating earthquake in 2010 and the loss of life, we initially provided TPS to the Haitians already in our country, recognizing that they could not safely be repatriated back home. They could not go home, right? Cool. Natural disaster back home. It's awful. Things are getting fixed. You're here outside of your power. I'm good with that for a hot second, right? But because of the ongoing issues and the assassination of their president and the gang violence, like, it has never got better. So with all of that, so not just the natural disasters, and also the security concerns, kidnappings, killings, lawlessness, things like Port-au-Prince, those have been an issue all the way up. And so additionally, then the Biden administration expands the TPS, the temporary protective status, that eligibility, in a way that doesn't just cover Haiti. It's other countries too. So let's not think that we're just focusing on one group of people. That's an acute situation, but it's a wider problem because of the Biden administration. It was part of this border policy to offer refuge not only from environmental, but also from countries with unrest and conflict. So now this decision and redesignation of TPS Haitians is now goes all the way to February of 2026. So this reflects on the ongoing recognition of Haiti's inability to handle the return of its nationals safely, providing them with legal permission to live and work here temporarily, although it does not give them permanency for residency. They don't get a pathway to becoming citizens. So that brings us to an article from The Guardian. I don't know if you have that Guardian article up.
I actually do. Let's get into it.
Since we have, you know.
Yeah, so right here. This is from, so we have to go way, way back in order to understand, like, what's going on here, and especially with a lot of the issues that that island has had over the past couple of decades, especially with, you know, natural disasters and independence and all that other stuff. So this is from, excuse me, The Guardian. Haiti and the failed promise of U.S. aid. After the earthquake struck in 2010, the U.S. pledged to help rebuild the Caribbean country. A decade later, nothing better symbolizes the failure and the efforts that the story of a new port was promised but never built. Now, I know the port was something that was supposed to be very important, but it goes way deeper than that. I'll explain. When Bill and Hillary Clinton traveled to the Caribbean nation of Haiti as newlyweds in 1975, they were enchanted. Bill had recently lost a race of Congress back at home in Arkansas, but by that time they had returned to the U.S. and had set his mind running for Arkansas State Attorney General, a decision which would put him on the path to the White House. We had a deep connection to and with Haiti ever since, Hillary said. Over the next 4 decades, the Clintons became increasingly involved in Haiti, working to reshape the country in profound ways. As U.S. president in the 1990s, Bill lobbied for sweeping changes to Haiti's agriculture sector that significantly increased the country's dependence on American food crops. In 1994, 3 years after the military coup in Haiti, Bill ordered the U.S. invasion that overthrew the junta and restored the country's democratically elected president to power. 15 years later, Bill was appointed the United Nations Special Envoy to Haiti, tasked with helping the country develop its private sector and invigorate its economy. But by 2010, the Clintons were 2 of Haiti's largest benefactors. Remember that. The personal philanthropic fund, the Clinton Foundation, had 34 projects in the country focused on things such as creating jobs.
So the Clinton Foundation's got their fingers in this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I do believe they got busted trying to smuggle kids out at one point. And they have had their fingers in all kinds of stuff. Anywhere there's, quote, humanitarian aid, all over. And they don't do a good job. They really don't. They fail. And so, like, the thing is, like, this country basically fell apart for every single reason. Hey, thanks, Fox. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're trying to do a little bit of real journalism when we put this stuff together. It happened to be in my backyard.
Exactly.
And I care. You know, I'm not about to go poop in my own backyard, and if someone else has, I'm going to go find out who did it. So, kind of that kind of thing. There wasn't a whole lot of local engagement either. The farming, when they wanted to deal with agriculture and stuff, they took farmers and made them industrial. They put them in industrial projects instead. They basically did direct. I could make a big argument about what they did and directly tie what they did to Haiti to communism. When they did, what they did is they went in and they said, what's all the resources? Who's all the people? Where are they at? And they just took everything that was and said, forget how it should work in the natural scheme of things. We're just going to redesignate everybody. We're just going to micromanage everything. And it completely fell apart.
Right. No.
And then and so the Haitians that are here, from what I heard from some people in Springfield when I was talking to them, they do not like that name. They do not like the Clinton name at all. They hate it. Some of them are here just to take advantage of us, of our, all this cash and all these things, and not even put back in. They don't have a lot of these people don't have the same concept that we do of what America is and what this big thing is. So this is somebody that So she says Elle Silsby worked for Clinton and Obama, caught trying to smuggle kids across the Haitian border. Said they were orphans, putting them on planes to the U.S. They weren't orphans. That's crazy. That's this kind of stuff we're talking about right there. And whoever you are, YouTube user, let's get to the Discord and let's talk
in
about
the description
stuff.
below.
Description below. If you've got info and you're about this, let's go.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the thing on the Haiti front over there, and what the temporary protected status is, and but a little bit more about Springfield, and let's get down to kind of where that's the foundation. We've laid the foundation for Springfield and their particular acute situation. They are in Clark County, which is very much it's kind of emblematic of that historical vibrancy and the economic challenges that come from being a Rust Belt town. I'm from one myself. They were founded in 1801. They grew from their origins as a frontier settlement into a manufacturing hub. Same here. We've got, if you go to some of the parks here in my town, there's log cabins and forts and things that are left over. Some of them have been relocated and rebuilt, but they're there. But we were all shaped by the Industrial Revolution and the that big boom of being able to do rapid manufacturing. We were the backbone of the Civil War. We were the backbone of many wars up through with our ability to manufacture, and not just that, but we also have agriculture too. So it's a town nestled in the midst of like cornfields and soy and all that stuff too. But much of like the rest of the Rust Belt, Springfield went through severe economic downturns, deindustrialization from when, the mid 20th century, manufacturing jobs went overseas. They were lost to automation, leading to significant drop in median incomes, rise in poverty rates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They went from like 60,000 people. Well, they're at 60,000 people right now in like 2020 census, but I think their peak was 80,000 in 1960s, which now is back to almost that with the Haitians. So we'll get into why that's important as well. But why should we care about this little small town that's basically, there's nothing notable. Really, we're small town people. We try to keep to ourselves. We like to live our lives and do our jobs and go home, raise our families. This issue has been simmering for the last few years, and it's finally come to a boil, right? And the only reason most people are talking about it is because, let's be honest, the news is raining cats and dogs on a particular subject matter. Okay?
Right.
So, and there's credibility and merit to some of that. There's been some stuff that has been looked into, and there's a handful of situations. And even when I was there, I didn't see anything particularly that was like, oh, that looks like somebody skinned a carcass. I know about skinning carcasses. There's one hanging on the wall behind me. I shot that myself. Okay, took it to the taxidermist, and he did up my skull real nice. So anyway, thing about it is people were offering up the conversation. Independent people I was talking to, whether they were saying, oh yeah, I've had police conversations with the police. I overheard a conversation that two other people were having. Hey, there's journalists here in town. Is that spot there with all the bloody stuff still there? And it sounded like there was a dump where somebody had been dumping carcasses, and I heard over the phone on the other end, kind of loud and quiet. It was like, nah, that's all cleaned up and gone now. And they're like, dang. So these people know that there's other things going on in their town because they live there all the time. But that's only a symptom of other things. Haitians bring voodoo, they bring their religion, they bring their culture. Mm-hmm. That's a thing. But it's still not the underlying corruption that's drinking from the fire hose of government funds. But where do we start to find it? Okay, so I replied to your email and I think I can, if you could bring up those notes I sent you to the reply to your notes you sent me, go down to where we talk about this Carl Ruby. He's a local pastor. And if I need to bring up some things on my end, I will too, because I can do that. So, but this Carl Ruby, he's got a church. I'm bring up his bio here on his church website.
See
I can
here.
I want you
there
on the
you are.
I want you on the back end just in case I can't get. So this Carl Ruby, right? And I'm gonna zoom in, and we're gonna start reading about Carl Ruby. You're gonna start to hear some things that maybe you've heard before. So he came to Central. So Central is the church. This is Central Christian Church. They're just south of Springfield. He's a very well-known pastor. You look him up, you can find all kinds of news articles on him. I'm going to give you some. I came to Central in 2013 after a career in higher education. They're proud parents, daughters, they're grandparents to children. He's been around for a while. Carl is very involved in the community as a spokesperson on a variety of social justice, and is particularly passionate about welcoming immigrants to the community. Prior to becoming the pastor, he was part of the Evangelical Immigration Table, a group advocating for comprehensive immigration reform that respected the human dignity of immigrants. His hobbies include hiking and other outdoor activities. Okay, so we already know he's woke, social justice.
Right.
Okay, that's the first nail in the coffin. All right, so the Evangelical Immigration Table, if I bring that up, this next one, this guy, I'm going to flip to this website. This is their principles. Now, they are a global, this stuff sounds very, very like, okay, if you're just a standard everyday churchgoer kind of person, national immigration laws have created a moral, economic, and political crisis. Initiatives to remedy this crisis have led to a polarization and name-calling, which opponents have misrepresented each other's positions as open borders and amnesty versus deportations of millions. So you can see, so he's already saying, okay, here's the two extremes. We actually know the way. We're the third way. So this is a third wayism. And if you don't understand what third wayism is in history of politics, third wayism is one of those things where it's like, okay, there's all these there's these two factions, but we're not those. There has never been, especially in the World War II era, a third wayism that actually functioned properly. It's usually a third. Anyone claiming to be third way is really just hiding under something, right? They're hiding behind some flowery language, and they're hiding in the midst of things, and that's what this Evangelical Immigration Table is.
You forced me to get my glasses out now. Now I have to read all.
I'm trying to get it zoomed in for the viewers.
There we go.
But here's the things they say. Respects God-given dignity of every person, protects the unity of immediate family, respects the rule of law, guarantees secure national borders, ensures fairness to taxpayers, establishes a path toward legal status or citizenship for those who qualify and wish to become permanent residents. Well, there's a lot of talking points that have been brought from both sides, right? So the right wing, so every Christian and every person, I don't care who you are, if you believe in God and you're in that realm, God-given dignity of every person, made in the image of God, I'm with you, right? Protects the unity of the immediate family. Okay, that gets your middle and right wingers, your conservatives, right? Respect the rule of law. I don't think that's a platitude. Everyone says that. Guarantees secure national borders. That's a right-wing issue. Ensures fairness to taxpayers. Okay, well, it depends on what you mean by that, and I don't think that's true considering there's a lot of tax money that's coming down the pipeline, and I don't think it's very fair when you've got immigrants that have the kind of cash they're getting, and we'll talk about that. So I don't think it's being very fair where they're at. And establishes a path toward legal status or citizenship for those who qualify to become permanent residents. That's a left-wing platitude because they want anybody who comes into this country to be able to become a citizen for, it doesn't matter how you got here, right? So you've got stuff that sits right, you got stuff that's in the middle, and you got stuff that sits to the left. and so there's that. Now, this group is connected to other evangelical, middle-of-the-road they try to seat themselves in the middle just so they can get all the donations that are global, that kind of thing. So he's a part of that. But the one that caught my eye is he's also a part of a group called Forward.us. And here's an article about this pastor. Now, so Carl Ruby, director of Welcome Springfield. We'll talk about Welcome Springfield in a second. Says there's more than border security is needed to deal with immigration challenges. They've got a little clip here. What's this little clip? Can I play this clip? No, it's not going to let me play this clip. Anyway, he wants to, at one point, this is 2017, he announced plans to form an Ohio arm of the group Forward.us. Forward.us was founded by Mark Zuckerberg. And if anybody,
really?
Yes, if anybody has guilt for his privilege, it's all these Silicon bigwigs that got too rich for their britches and felt bad about it, and didn't have anything else that they could figure out what to do with it but to go straight into the social justice stuff. So, and this is from Dayton Daily News. So Carl Ruby wanted to form a wing of a local chapter of Forward.us, which was founded by Zuckerberg. Okay, this guy's left. This guy's straight left. But he's religious left, which is worse because he's very zealous about things and what his background is. So there's that. Now here we start getting into some of the things about the way he views immigration. So this is from the New American Economy. Okay. Pastor sees immigrants through the lens of Bible and the economy. We're getting down to the money now. Carl Ruby, a conservative Christian pastor at Central Christian Church in Springfield, Ohio, believes that immigration reform is a civil rights issue, and it was a lesson he learned decades ago when he first read Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail. I saw that it was an issue that white conservative Christians could be tackling. See, he's trying to claw at the conservative right and appeal to their religious senses, which is fine. If you're going to make a real biblical argument for something, you shouldn't treat people like crap, but you should also, respect the whole of the people, which is not happening. They're not respecting the people that live in Springfield with all this is going on.
Right.
So he was an administrator and a dean at Cedarville University. He joined the Birmingham Immigration Forum, another immigration thing. He led a group called Bibles, Badges, and Business, a 3-state initiative that brings together conservative clergy, law enforcement, and local businesses to formulate policy recommendations around immigration reform. Bibles, Badges, and Business. Business. Always the money. Follow the money. Okay?
Every single time.
It says churches, the police, and local business owners are in a position to really see the changes within their communities and to see the driving forces behind those changes, he says. We're a nation of immigrants, always have been. We need to recognize they are an asset, not a liability. Asset, money. Okay? More money. So some of these things that the New American Economy talks about is they account for 3% of the population of Ohio's 8th congressional district, Clark County, and a couple other ones. But they yield spending power of $564 million.
Wow.
This was 2017. To $546.5 million that they can that they have in spending power. All right, more money. That's local.
That's just in this county.
That's just in that district, which it's mostly that county and a little bit of other ones. Sometimes districts are weird the way they budge them. So Springfield population has declined to its lowest in 50 years, with an average of 5 people leaving every year in search of better opportunities. So what this article is talking about is going down through all the different things about what they're doing to revitalize this area by importing bodies to do work and to scrape off every single dollar they possibly can that comes from the federal government through the support programs. Okay, it talks about the English speech language classes, common education, advocacy services. There's a lot of complaints from the locals there about adult males being in freshman high school classes. that's happening. So, but they have a partnership with a national organization called Welcoming America. It's an umbrella of nearly 100 welcoming cities across the country. Quote, the community has received us very well, says Ruby. So he's saying they have a lot of local support, but their local support is mostly because he has the ends with people in the local government. So they lost their mayor not that long ago. The former mayor that was there from the time that Ruby started this thing that was with Welcome America. It was called Welcome Springfield. Okay, it was, and so this was an initiative. I have a link here. I'm going to pull up an X account from this guy. This guy, K. Anderson. Okay, so he's replying to Krasenstein today. And it says here that he's a full-blown globalist, talking about Carl Ruby, who worked to orchestrate the inclusion of Springfield, Ohio into a globalist immigrant welcoming organization like Welcome Springfield and Global Great Lakes. That's one I have yet to look into deeply enough. But, yeah. So shout out to Christopher Anderson. You're in Springfield. I don't think you're listening right now, but I'm going to try to get a hold of you because you're local to me. He's Akron. He's not far from me.
That's good.
But yeah, this is resolution 5844, and down here at the bottom, he's got it marked. City of Springfield, Ohio joins joins cities like Dayton and Columbus that have formed a voluntary network of immigrant-friendly communities called the Global Great Lakes and Welcoming America. So, and he's got both pages of it where it's signed, the date, July 22nd of 2014. This starts in 2014, but it's not about Haitians. It's about Latin groups. Yeah, we haven't got to Haiti yet. This is 2014. This is not 2010. I mean, it's after the Haitian thing's happening kind of, but they haven't got to the point where they're just getting out of there and being funneled in. But this was about Latin communities originally when I looked into it.
So this is kind of like the starting point here domestically, not necessarily internationally. They've already set the standards outside of that. So I'm guessing that if you were part of, because NGOs, I mean, they've been around, but they haven't really been called NGOs until as of late, right?
Well, a non-governmental organization, I think it's kind of on the nose a little bit to have to say we're not the government. It's kind of like saying I'm not a Fed.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's like that. And so an NGO is anything that is that partners with government that isn't technically government. Really is what that is. And so they have to designate, they have to say, oh, I am a non-governmental organization, but yet they act, excuse me, some pork rinds coming back to. But anyway.
I told you, bro.
It's a non-governmental organization, works hand in foot with government agendas. They might as well be, they're part of that public-private partnership that groups like the World Economic Forum go on about. When Klaus Schwab talks about those things. And really, what Carl Ruby is doing is he's doing exactly in Ohio what Rick Warren started doing in the early 90s. See, the WEF wanted to do this, not just the government and the business side. He wanted the third leg of the stool, which is religion. And Carl Ruby is one of these guys that's now taking that and he's pulling the circle back in and taking the leg of religion of the stool of society, and he's connecting it to the local government and the other businesses, the non-government stuff. So, and I'm going to eventually, because I hear the music coming up in the background, I want to wet your whistles a little bit on the back end with this last article here from Breitbart. Dude, this is coming from the Fed, the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell, migration is rising Americans' unemployment rate. they're taking the jobs. They're not actually taking the jobs. The jobs are not being posted for American citizens to find them through the normal means, whether it's Indeed or LinkedIn, wherever you're finding listings. They're not. They're going through staffing agencies and that are connected to the NGOs, that are connected to the housing, that are connected to all the stuff. And I'm telling you right now, Springfield has this going in spades. And there's one name that owns all three legs of this pipe to get it. They've got the NGO or the local nonprofit. They've got the staffing agency, and they've got the housing. And everybody's getting paid, even people in the local commission, the council, the mayor's office. Everybody's got a cut somewhere, but you're gonna have to wait till next week.
Absolutely. And before we go, when you talk about what's happening over in Haiti over the past couple of decades, when they're trying to build the ports so that they can build economic status or whatnot for themselves, and when all of that stuff fell through, what Scrap's talking about is the white guilt. It's the, we did our best, but we weren't able to come through. What's another way that we can do this? Well, let's go ahead and import them here into the United States, and let's go ahead and try to find something for them here. But we can't just bring them here and just start giving jobs away. Like, we're going to have to do this in some professional manner, in a way in which you don't really know about it. So I'm going to get to your point there, but there was also another post on X. But I want to kind of bring everything back together in one big picture, okay? So you go to another country, they have issues with their economic ties or trying to get jobs and things for people, to live prosperously or whatnot, whatever that is. So they couldn't do it there, so they bring them here and they start using our resources. Well, that has to come from somebody, and someone has to take the fall. Well, who's that person that takes the fall? Well, let me pull this up for you. This is Tyler Hansen. I know
Make
some
sure
of
you
you
share
guys,
your audio if it's got audio.
It should.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's got it right here. Yeah. So this is from Springfield, Ohio. He was actually there about 3 days before Scrap went. And he said how the Haitian influx is affecting the homeless population. Single mother who is homeless with her child spoke on the situation. Well, let's hear what she has to say.
I stood there. I was right there. I met that guy in the orange shirt. I was there.
Oh, you did?
Not with him, but later. I was there later.
Nice. All right, here we go.
Homeless out here in Springfield,
Yes.
Ohio?
Yes, me and my baby both are.
How long have you been homeless for?
I've been here in Springfield since January, and I've been homeless the whole time.
The whole time?
Yep.
Okay. Do you feel like the Haitians or kind of the influx of the Haitian immigrants are taking away from resources that you could potentially have?
100%. 100%. Before they came here, we could get housing. Young single moms could actually afford to pay rent.
Yeah.
Now that they're here, $900 for a 2-bedroom? How is a young single mom supposed to pay that on top of her kid?
So
We got to fight for our money, our food stamps, our medical, everything. We got to fight for it, but they get to come here and just get it handed to them. That's not fair to my daughter. Not me, my daughter. That's taking from my baby, and I'm not okay with that. It has to end. Something has to be done. They're taking from our children, not us, our children, the future of our country, and that's not okay. I'm 100% not okay with that. It's 100% disrespectful to us. Granted, I respect the fact that you got a war going on, okay? You could come over here and respect our customs. Don't come here taking away from us. Respect it. Fight with us. If we got to fight for it, they should have to. Everything we got to do, they should have to abide by. Why? It's our country, our rules, our laws.
how is it being homeless out here with a child?
Very difficult. I struggle to provide everything. Yesterday, for example, I was struggling to just get her diapers to the point I was about to go steal them. That's how bad it gets.
Do you get any kind of government resources or anything?
I'm currently in the process of reapplying for food stamps, but again, even that for us is a fight because of these Haitians. We can't get these simple things because they're coming and they're taking it. They're getting it handed to them while our own country, before they got here, yeah, we were struggling, but them coming here, we're struggling more. How do we support another country when we can't even support our own? That's not fair to us. How's that right? How's that right to the future of our country? We gotta live in fear on a daily of our babies getting kidnapped because of the Haitians. Our kids can't even simply go play in the front yard no more without fear of them getting kidnapped. That's why you will never see that little baby anywhere but my side. I can't even let my kid be a kid and play without fear of them either getting kidnapped or hurt because of these Haitians. And that's not fair to my child.
That's wild. That's that, and I didn't get to meet her. I met a whole other group of homeless people. There's quite a few. It reminded me a lot of some places I've been in my own town,
Right.
I got a bunch of B-roll and stuff that I just haven't figured out how to put in a good format. I'm not a video guy. I want to eventually dump everything I have and let some of our more skilled video guys go through it and put it all together, and maybe we can slop some clips from this here and make a full deal on it. But shout out to YouTube user in the chat.
I guess your name didn't show up for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's a permission thing.
It might be. So talking about Carl Ruby, Nehemiah Foundation, board member, city manager, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've seen that. I've looked into these. That's another one of those NGOs. Hey, yeah, she says, I think I have Discord.
Oh, nice.
And then they're at the intersection of 70 and 75. Yeah, it's human trafficking, drug trafficking. I'm the same way. I have the same kind of intersection where I'm at. That's been known for that. Oh yeah, and right across the street from that clip with Tyler Hansen, there's a soup kitchen. The crazy thing is, right next to the soup kitchen is a liquor store.
Of course there is.
Poor can't get a job. Soup kitchen, get a 40. Dude, those guys were drinking King Cobra on the stoop that day. I'm like, it's rough, man. When you're on the street and you're drinking King Cobra on the street, I understand there are some people who King Cobra is the equivalent of to certain palates as Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Old English.
Old
English. I know people know about Old English.
Yeah. So it was a sight. It reminded me of home. I didn't feel out of place. I didn't feel everywhere I walked and I ever went, any business I walked into, I knew what I was getting into because Ohio, we're the same. But yeah, we're gonna put some people on blast next week. Where I have facts, I'm gonna drop them, and where I have speculative opinion, I'm gonna make sure I say it's speculative opinion and what I don't have in. But when you start to see the connections and the conflict of interest and who's sucking from the fire hose to the tune of millions of dollars, yeah, it's going to get spicy next week. Springfield, absolutely. My friends in Springfield who are watching and get a hold I'm going to be talking to some of you again this week, and maybe I'll come visit again on my day off. Who knows? We'll set something up for Monday. Let's go.
And if you've got information, join our Discord. It's in the Rumble description below. I dropped it in the chat in YouTube as well. But also, again, we have a webpage now to help us spread the word. We need your contributions. So please donate. If you want us to go out to these areas and to get you the right information, help us out. We will not disappoint you under any circumstance. You know, we did a lot of Scrap did a lot of work. I ended up helping him out, getting him out there, and figuring out, you know, what's really going on. Like, what's the purpose of all of this? But apparently, it's a lot bigger than we can imagine. So anything that you guys can give will help us out. Will put us in a position where we can go out there and get the news for you, so that you can make the right decisions about what information is credible and what isn't. So, but we definitely appreciate you guys, and we're doing the best that we can to with the time that we have. You know, he and I, we have families as well, you know, so we have to support them. So there's a PayPal link right there. If you guys want to go and help us out, we'll make sure we make it right for you.
Come to the Discord. Come get to know us. We'll get to know you.
We're there all the time.
We're working stiffs. We're driving around in our, you know, doing our thing, or we're working from home. You see me working here. You see me working where I work. I do other things, you know. So, but get a hold of us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Roma. Or AK.
No, AK.
Thank you, AK. Right. We call him Roma in the background because that's how we met him.
You can call me Roma. You can call me AK. Either one.
My favorite guy.
My favorite guy. That's right. So, but again, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll have an update for you next week. Peace.